Good morning. Myself Shaila Devi, Assistant Professor in Rohini College of Engineering and Technology. Today we are going to discuss about the subject CS 8392 Object Oriented Programming. In Object Oriented Programming subject, in Unit 4, we are going to discuss about creation of threads. So what is the outcome is, on successful completion of this module, the student should be able to explain how to create the threads in Java. So first we are going to see the introduction about threads. A thread is an independent path of execution within a program. So many threads can run concurrently within a program. So if you want to use a thread means you have to use the package java.lang.thread. So Java program can have more than one thread in a single program. So next we are going to see how we can create the thread. There are two ways to create the threads. One is by extending the thread class, another is by implementing the runnable interface. So in both the cases you have to use the runoff method to run a particular thread. So what are the commonly used constructors of the thread classes? You can use thread without using the thread name, and thread of string name, that is string name represents the name of the thread, and thread of runnable R, and thread of runnable R and string name. So these are all the four possible constructors, commonly used constructors for creating a thread. And as I have already told you, that is, we have two ways for creating a thread. One is by extending the thread, another one is by using runnable interface. So first we are going to see how we can create the thread by extending the thread class. So what is the syntax is class name extends thread. So this is a way to create a thread by you extending the thread class, and within that you have to use the runoff function. So what is the syntax? Class name extends thread. Within that you have to use the runoff function. So next you are going to see one example for that. So we have created a class called multi and we have extended the thread. So now we have created a thread. Within that we have a runoff function. So within the run function you have written that thread is running. So for this multi class we have created the object and we have initiate the startup function. So when we call the startup function, always the runoff function will be executed. So when we invoke the startup function, the runoff function of the thread is executed. So it gives you the output that thread is running. And we are going to discuss some of the thread methods: start, run, stop. So startup function is used to create a new thread and makes it runnable. This method can be called only once. And runoff function, it's a new thread begins its life inside this method. So if you want to make the particular thread run means you have to use the runoff function, and stop off function is used to terminate the particular thread. We're going to discuss about the thread methods. We have yield off function and sleep off function. So what is the use of yield off function is, it causes the currently executing threads objects to temporarily pause and allow other threads to execute. So next we are going to discuss about the sleep off function. So the sleep off function has an argument m. So what is m is? M is the millisecond value, that is the timing value. So the thread sleeps for a m milliseconds. And if you give the n value means plus n nanoseconds, it sleeps. And the second method is by implementing the runnable interface. So how we can use or we can create a thread by using runnable interface, that we are going to discuss with an example program. So first we have to create a class and you have to use implements runnable. Then within that you have to use the runoff function. So inside the runoff function we have printed that the thread is running, and then you have to create the object for that class and you have to create a thread, and then you have to start the thread. Instead of starting the class, in the previous method we have started the class. Instead here you have to start the thread. So when the thread is started, the runoff function is executed. So it gives you the output that the thread is running. So in this video we have discussed about basic definition of a thread and how we can create a thread, and what are the two different methods for creating a thread.